welcome everyone. I'm so happy to have you here. If you're hopping on and you are live, let me know. If you are watching the replay, also let me know. Hashtag replay. I would love to know. And as always, if you have any questions concerning the topic that we're going to cover today, feel free to drop them in the comment box and we'll come around and we'll go ahead and answer your questions. So, for today's training, the topic is the CEO mindset that creates a freedom and profit based business. And as you might know by now, that's what I focus on creating and helping other women create a freedom and profit based business. It's what I've done for myself. I was working corporate and my husband was working crazy hours as well. And we were just tired of it. We wanted to have more time freedom, more flexibility to be with our family, to do things that we really are passionate about and spend time in a way that felt good and light us up. And we were able to achieve that. And one of the things that helped and assisted in getting to having that freedom and profit based business was the CEO mindset. And that by far is going to be the thing that it's the first thing we look at when I work with clients. It's like how they're thinking, how they're viewing things, because it does matter. Because whatever beliefs, ideas, and thoughts you have are going to be the action steps that you're going to take. So when I'm talking about, or whenever you hear me talk about CEO mindset, it's going to be about zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. So, focusing on forming or creating a freedom based and profit based business, we have to be looking and planning ahead. And when I mean planning ahead, it means three things. It means looking at how your schedule is going to fit into this, what offers you're going to put in place, and what support you need to bring in order to create that freedom and profit based business. So, I'll go into more detail into those as we go along in the training, but basically that's what we're gonna cover today. So a CEO will look at the business, and you don't have to be like 3 years into business. I prefer for you guys to start thinking as a CEO from day one because it's just gonna it's just gonna make the whole process easier. But if you're already in business and you're like, I'm already working and doing things great, this is something that you can still adjust as you go. And you never stop. You never stop working and exercising this muscle. So the CEO mindset basically just looks at things from a point of bigger picture, zooms out and looks at things like 5, 10 years from now and starts working from it, right? Ultimately, here we're talking about the freedom and a profit based business. So, how can we start implementing that? By planning and thinking how are we going to get there. So, if you are currently trading time for money, that cannot be or that's not a freedom based business because you're still tied to that. If a client cancels, if you get sick, you stop making money. But versus you have systems, you have support, you have offers that create profit, and you have a schedule, right, that's flexible, it gives you that freedom, but your business doesn't stop making money, right? Doesn't stop generating money because there's systems and things in place that are working like clockwork for you to still be bringing in that income, aside from you having your clients, right? And even then, they are going to be supported because now you have that support. So when you plan ahead and you're like, okay, where do I want to be? And the way we did it was like, okay, I want a spacious schedule. For me, my goal and what's most important for us is family, being with our kids, being enjoying our family life, having flexibility in our schedule to do the things that light us up. This work is part of it, mentoring and coaching clients. I do it and I do it in a way that feels good to me. It doesn't feel like work. I'm excited to come to the calls. I'm excited to support. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I gotta go do this. And I'm not tied down just to that um, service. There's different type of services that we have. So that's one thing, like looking at the offers, looking at your schedule, right? How many hours do you want to work? And in reality, you can work as much or as little as you want. But for us, what feels really, really good is maybe 20 hours a week, if that at the most, right? Um, but aside from that, I don't want to take more on that. I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to be stressed, right? I'm good at 20 hours, but for somebody else, 40 hours might be good. when I'm talking about CEO mindset and and profit-based business, you have, I mean, always think about it and apply it to you. This is just my framework, my methodology, my ideas. But then I take that and we, match it with where it is that you want to go. So don't, just because I work 20 hours, you have to work 20 hours. No, it's your own version of what you want your business and life to feel, your own freedom and your own desire of profit, right? So for me, 20 hours a week is great, and I get a week off. And my husband would laugh at me because I would be like, I want to be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And he's like, so when are you working? And I'm like, Tuesday, Wednesdays. But that's what I wanted, and I, it's funny. It's a joke in the family, but that's what I wanted. And my CEO mindset was like, okay, that's what I want. That's my schedule. I blocked out the hours, and then that's what I get. I get a week off. Um, when kids are off, I'm off because they get obviously spring and summer vacation. So I'm off. I want to be with my family. I want to be doing things, planning things, going to the beach, sleeping in, having pancakes. Like that's what fuels me. And the clients that work with me understand that. And also, right, completely understand. And that's how I frame my offers, which is what we're jumping into now. So after you've thought, okay, where do I want to be in business, right? Whether it is six figures, seven figures, what, once you've established that, that's where I want to get. I want to have served 100 people, right? How can I get there, while having still freedom, right? So we think about our schedule, and then we think about the offers that we're going to put in place. So it doesn't make sense to put an offer that's going to have you trading time for money when you want freedom. It doesn't, right? So now you need to start looking at how can I package what I do, my skills, my services, my knowledge, my experience. And this is when we start moving from one to many, right? You'll start hearing, you can start creating courses, you can start creating group programs where you're still, teaching and supporting and mentoring, but you're mentoring more people, creating more impact, and by so creating, obviously, more profit. So that's the other piece of this CEO mindset. And then, okay, so now that I have my offers, right? Now that I've thought what I want to do, okay, what will I need me in order to be able to, get to where I want to, right? So you're gonna need team, or you're gonna need support. That might be, in the form of a coach. That might be in the form of a VA. That might be on somebody coming and cleaning your house or doing laundry, right? Things that you don't necessarily want to be doing, or you know, like if kids are home, I would rather be with my kids and not worry about laundry. And of course, if it's at all in the possibilities for you. So you start delegating those things, right? The things that I cannot delegate in my business is doing this live, coaching my clients and supporting them because I'm the one that's doing that. But then I can have support in my business doing everything else, like, billing, operations on business, emails, everything else, right? So that's what CEO mindset is the bigger picture, and then planning. Okay, this year I'm gonna hit six, next year I'm going multiple six, and then, you know, year three it's seven figures. Or you could do it backwards. Okay, this year I'm gonna go multiple, not backwards, but you could say, you know what, this year is multiple six figures, next year it's going to be seven figures, right? It's all going to be based on what you want, where you're at, and obviously your life, what's going on in your, what season in you are in your life. So same thing for me, right? I'm not interested in hitting really fast targets because I believe that, right now in the season that I'm in, steady growth has been great, and I'm happy with that. So, I have clients that come in and their goal is, I want to hit multiple six figures within a year. Great. What do we need to do, right? So we create a plan, that might include launching, that might create, what's it called? Updating and upgrading their offers to be able to fit that. That might mean figuring out what type of support they really need to get in their business. And that's all based on planning and then going out there and thinking what steps we need to take, right? Because if you're going to want to go from like trading, one-on-one clients to one-to-many, you that's not a jump that you make from one day to the other. That's a jump that you make and you plan accordingly. So if you know you're going to need 3 hires, right? Then you need to make sure that we start creating the process of who we're going to hire. What are we looking for? The positions, and looking out there and hiring. And all of this can get done without feeling stressed out, or like it's a big thing on your shoulders. I remember that when we had to do 2 hirings for support, and then I had to do our hiring for our OBM. And I really was excited on all those hires because I worked out the roles. I thought about what I wanted, and I went out there and hired, and it was great training them, obviously, and getting to know your people, supporting them, and leading them. So all of this gets to feel good. When I'm saying freedom and profit, it's not just on time, money. It's also on how you get to feel in your business. It's also how you get to feel in life. And that's the whole point. If we're going to be doing business, it needs to feel good all around. And those are the things I support my clients with. Um, we look at the things that they want to do, the things that they want to accomplish. So if you take anything out of this training today, it's about figuring out what is your goal, what's your desire, right? And then working backwards from that, more like of the macro, like the big picture, and then going, okay, really micro, like what are the small steps I need to take? So the first thing would be, if you want to go from one to many, it's like, okay, how can I go ahead and give myself a schedule, right? So let's work out a mini training here. So if you wanted to say work 20 hours a week, what would that look like? What days do you want to work? What days do you want to be off? And when you're off, who's gonna answer those messages that need to be answered, right? Do you need customer service support? Do you need um, an OBM, or do you need a VA? All of those things are the things you start thinking about. And then, okay, how can I package my offers in a way that creates massive value for my people, gives them that support? I can assist them and support them, gives them that value, but also allows me to be flexible and have that freedom I want. And then the other thing is a spacious schedule. That is huge, 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 huge. For me in the business, everything, I'm such a Google Calendar person. Everything is blocked off. Like my working hours, my working out hours are in my in my calendar. My self care is in there. Even the time I'm gonna go to bed, because if it's not in the calendar, it does not happen. And when we're making the switch from just like, just being in business, starting and doing the things that we're doing, versus now switching into being CEO mindset, you have to work on habits. I mean, and I'll definitely touch on that a lot more in another training, but those are the habits, right? As to what is it that you want your life to look like, feel like, and then you execute on those action steps. So an exercise that I invite you to go do is open up a Google Calendar and look at it, right? Like, I know that my brain can handle between 4 to 5 hours of work in the day. And then I'm maxed out. Like, my brain needs to go and recharge. So it wouldn't be logical for me to put an 8 hour day when I know that my body, my brain is gonna pay for it later. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. It's not doesn't make me feel like it's freedom. It doesn't make me feel good. Does not leave me pouring out for my loved ones, right? Because I'm tired. I don't want to do it. So I know, like, for myself, if I have a heavy day, like a 4 hour day, the next day is going to be a slower day, right? So again, as you see, it's going to be relative to you when you're creating or thinking about your schedule. So I might feel like, okay, Tuesday can be a heavy day where I can have 4 hours of work. And then Tuesday, I have to go into it slow. So it'll be more like a 2 hour day, right? And then I can spread it out in other days and adjust it as needed. And I do a year break, like a year breakdown of what my schedule is going to look like. And then I break it down into months and then into weeks. Because that gives you great clarity to you, to your team, to your clients, as to what your availability is, allows you to plan, allows you to pour into your family, allows you to take the vacation that you need, allows you to like sleep in, and do the things you want and feeling really, really nourished. So let's say Mondays is not your days. Okay, great. You sleep in, you make the arrangements. You're gonna be a happier human because you're resting. So it's like open to like have it the way you want. Like you can have it any way you want, and it's gonna work out, but it's by having and cultivating that CEO mindset. It's about seeing it in that lens. And when we work together with the clients, we keep coming back to that. All right, but how would the CEO version of you do that, take that decision, right? Okay, so now go execute like that CEO, right? So if you're telling me you want to work 20 hours and you only want to work 3 days a week, then what decisions, what hires do you have to make in your business today in order to be able to achieve that and then go do it? So it's just a game changer. And when you feel that power within yourself and within your business, it just changes everything for you. You're no longer feeling trapped. You're no longer feeling like you don't like what you're doing. It's just that the mindset needed an upgrade, basically. And it's that CEO mindset that we need to work on. So a lot of the times my clients are like, but I'm not sure. I'm like, you're the CEO. You get to make the decision, right? It's about stepping into your power and realizing and understanding that if that's what you want, if what you want is freedom and you want to take vacations and you want to have a week off, you are allowed to do so because you're able to. You're the CEO. You get to design it the way you want to. We're not in corporate. We're not tied down to vacation times anymore. We're not tied down to hours. We're not clocking in. It's you get to design it your way. Like I ask my clients, like, if you could just tell me, like, what you would like your life and business to look like, and you had no barriers, like nothing, describe it to me, right? And I think that's the best exercise, not the best, but my favorite exercise I like to do with them, because it allows them to step back and really think bigger. And we need to start thinking bigger than just like, oh, okay, very micro, more macro. Like when I say micro, it's like very little, and macro meaning like bigger, like get out there, think of of the things you want, and not be afraid of going out there, because at the end of the day it's just about that. It's about thinking ahead, and then asking yourself the question, okay, how am I going to get to where I want to, or what I want to? Because I don't believe in the words I can't. Automatically, if something's coming up in the business or with, a client or whatever, it's not I can't. It's okay, how can I, right? It's switching the thought as to a positive thing. What can we do? So if you're currently in your business and you're like, well, I'm feeling very burnt out and tired, then what can you change now to create that freedom and profit-based business that lights you up, that fills you up, that it lets you enjoy your craft, right? That's the conversation that we want to have. Um, and seeing. So if you're currently in a situation where you're like, this schedule's not working for me, then I invite you to take a look at your schedule, at your offers, and what support you could hire. Um, in order to be able to get that. So, for example, for me, I remember um, I wanted more support because I didn't want to be tied down as much in the day to day of the business, the work and the entry. Those were things that other people could do for me. So I hired two people, and I trade them side by side. Best thing ever. I felt lighter in the moment. And a lot of the times it's like, but how am I going to, when you hire, you feel very like scared because you're like, now I'm going to be dependable of humans, salaries. How am I going to do that? It works out, you budget it out, you price it out. And again, that's like a conversation for another training, but it's, it's, it's about knowing that you can go ahead and create what you want. If you need support to have that freedom, you know, working with the coach can help you a lot to figure that out, or yourself as well, right? But it's just having that support will move you 10 times faster. So, if anything, just take that with you. How can you get into your CEO mindset today? And what actions would that CEO take in order to create her freedom and profit based business? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. If you have any questions in regards to this topic as to, um, you know, like anything between the offer support and the spaciousness or the CEO mindset, go ahead and leave them in the comments in the replay. But also go ahead and let me know, where are you at? Like if you're listening to this, I'm curious to know, where are you? Are you still trading time for money, meaning like working or doing done for you services? Or are you um, filling group programs or offers? Like I want to hear what is it that you guys are doing out there in your businesses, and have this conversation. I think it's very important that we develop, um, yeah, that entrepreneurs develop the CEO mindset, even if you're doing one on one, because it allows you to think differently in your business. But as if you're trying to expand and you're trying to have more freedom, definitely the CEO mindset is going to be a game changer in your business, but also in your life. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. I in the in the comment box here in the group, and I'll be more than happy to come back and answer your questions. And I will see you again next week. Bye, guys.